So as of today, South Africans traveling to Ireland on holiday, business or to study must apply for tourist visas as they would for any other destination in the Schengen region or the United Kingdom. This means travelers from South Africa and Botswana, once exempt from this formality, must now make appointments via a local agency, submit comprehensive paperwork and pay fees to both the agency and the Irish consulate. Well, to unpack the decision taken by Ireland, we're joined by Andrew Thompson, who is a freelance journalist with News24, who's been covering the story. Andrew, good morning to you. So interesting development here as of today. A big change for South Africans wanting to travel to Ireland. What's the backstory here? What do we understand is the why behind this, why this is happening?
Morning, yeah, good to be here.
Yeah.
I think the why is kind of twofold, and if you look at how the Irish media are covering the story, it's a lot about illegal immigrants or refugee status, claiming that a lot of people are reneging on their free holidays and hanging around requesting refugee status, and I think that's how it's being pegged in the Irish media. The Irish officials basically said that it's also to bring Ireland in line with the Schengen zone and with the UK. And I think that's probably the key one, is that ultimately Ireland was a real outlier in giving South Africans free visa travel. And now they've kind of decided that they were literally the only country, along with Kosovo, in the European region that were giving us free visa access. And I think there was obviously some pressure and some decisions to bring it all in line with the rest of the Schengen zone. So I think those are the two main reasons, and I think that's why they've suddenly decided to lock it down once and for all.
Yeah, it's interesting because what they've said, and you mentioned this, right? An increase in asylum seekers from South Africa and Botswana. You know, we need to talk about that. Are those South Africans that are using South African documentation to apply to become asylum seekers? What are we missing?
Well, yeah, it's strange because of the thousands of people that do go to Ireland to seek asylum, only 500 of those come from South Africa and Botswana combined. So it's really a non-event in terms of, you know, the scale of it compared to other nations. Of those kind of groups that are tending to use that as an escape route, there's basically South Africa is the lowest out of all of those. So it seems a fairly sort of spurious reason according to that. And there are no specific numbers, but I do know that 500 of there were probably 500 last year between Botswana and South Africa, according to the Irish press. So yeah, I don't think that's a major issue.
Is it a concern, though, at all about, you know, the work that's done here at home by our Home Affairs department as well, around perhaps people that are not South African being able to access South African passports?
I think that's a possibility. It's not really my beat to analyze that degree of it, but I think South Africa's passport has for a long time been quite weak, and I think a lot of that has to do with the ease of access to South Africa and its passport. So while it's not my speciality, I think the speculation is that a lot of the time people are trying to clamp down on the South African passport because of its ease of access, and I think that's partly one of the reasons. It could well be why Ireland has just decided to bring themselves in line with the rest of their neighbours.
Yeah, and of course this is going to be a big issue for Leon Schreiber, who's our new Home Affairs Minister, and Ronald Lamola to tackle, right? Sure,
but I think my personal opinion on that is that it's unlikely that much is going to change. Ireland have made it very clear their stance. They've issued very clear statements, and I highly doubt a phone call or a meeting is going to change that and suddenly make Ireland open again for tourists. It's been a long time coming. I think the surprise of this was just how quickly and how out of the blue it was, and how it's in the middle of the tourist season, and ultimately there are going to be a lot of South Africans sitting at home now who are going to go to VFS now to make their appointments and have to pay an extra 2,000 Rand on top of what was likely an already expensive holiday just to get access to Ireland.
Yeah, I mean, you got to look at the timeframes and when things were communicated. When you're seeing here that the Dublin Visa Office is still to establish a dedicated SA desk to process applications, right? So I wonder what this means for those that already had plans at the moment to travel. But your concern around just the level of communication that we're getting around the matter.
I mean, I don't have any concerns around that. I think to clarify, if you are traveling to Ireland, it's pretty clear where you stand. If you booked your ticket today, you're going to have to get a visa. If you booked it before today, you might be free as long as you're traveling before the 10th of August. So that's where it stands. I think everyone's been fairly clear around the communication on it. I think the only thing that's been a little bit surprising is how quickly and the timing of it, and I think that's probably what's ruffled a few feathers. But if you've been following this news for a while, you would have seen that it was on the back burner for a while, and I guess they've just decided to pull the trigger now.
All right, so there you have it, Andrew Thompson, there, freelance journalist, speaking to us from News 24. And of course, the news coming out there being that Ireland's Minister of Justice, Helen McEntee, says the decision to introduce and charge travellers from South Africa and Botswana for tourist visas is to bring Ireland in closer alignment with the Schengen region. Thanks so much to Andrew for giving us your time.